guys, welcome back to another episode of Lights Out with Ish and Eve. I'm Ish and this is Eve, and we are back in our little couches.
We are.
And I am thrilled to be here, quite frankly.
It's been a rough day. I'm not going to lie, it did ruin my day. It actually genuinely ruined the first half of my day until I realised that it's just a sport and I need to pull my head out. But it was not fun. But the thing is, like, I know that you're going to be so excited, so I'm trying not to rain on your parade. But it's really difficult. But there's no rain to... Your parade was separate to my issues, so I feel like we can both... We can
both have our moments.
Yeah, there's no beef.
Fine. No, we're
in
chilling.
This two separate things that have gone on, obviously.
But obviously I'm very excited, hence...
The Ferrari top's back on.
The Ferrari top's back on. She's made another appearance. She hasn't had many appearances on this podcast yet.
Yeah.
But, randomly jumping ahead to an interesting stat.
Yes.
I think Charles and Lando have now had the same number of wins this
season.
Year.
Yeah, they have.
Isn't that wild?
I know. It is a little bit crazy.
Anyway.
I know.
But it was an amazing weekend. Like from start to finish.
Actually.
Just such a good...
I mean, the race has just, ruined the whole thing. But no, it was a really, really fun weekend. Obviously, say what you want about sprint races and sprint weekends. I know they're a controversial topic in themselves.
Yeah.
But, the fact that, the track surface had changed, everyone was all over the shop. The McLaren was slow. The Red Bull was fast.
Yeah.
What was happening?
The wheel-to-wheel racing in the sprint race was
so good.
So good.
It was and then quali was chaos. There was just stuff happening.
Yeah, every
across the
session
board
was so good.
Yeah.
And I do think sprint weekends are growing on me because
Yeah.
I don't have to sit through 3 practice sessions where nothing particularly matters and you can't really draw any information from it because you have no idea what
the teams are doing.
Running.
I completely understand why teams and drivers don't like it.
Yeah.
Because I could FP1, no one knew what the fuck was going on at all.
Yeah.
And it's now qualify, now race.
Yeah.
And now qualify again.
And race again.
And now do the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I can see how for them that's oh,
yeah,
I'm stressed.
But I think a lot of drivers do actually just getting straight into it. I think that's they're yes, sometimes it is good to have the data and be able to really get a good grip on the car and da-da-da. But other times I've heard them say they're yeah, no, I'd rather just get straight into it.
Yeah, and I guess it depends what the car is doing.
Yes, for sure.
And what the track is.
Yeah, if they feel confident in it, then they're let's go. But if they don't, they're whoa.
Because even there was a few drivers after the sprint that were that was fun.
Yeah.
I just had fun.
Totally.
Racing. Carlos was I had a blast. Yeah.
I was sitting there ooh.
I know, I was crash into each other.
But we'll get into it.
I was do it. I dare you. Especially in the race.
I know.
But obviously that was never going to happen. They weren't even close together at all.
Obviously it's been a while since we had Singapore and then...
Bro, this break felt so long.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just because in the summer break, obviously I was traveling. So it I was busy. I was sitting in my house for the 3 weeks and it felt so long.
Felt like ages.
Also, nothing happened. There was no...
No, I mean, obviously there was the Daniel Ricciardo thing, but we obviously all knew that was happening kind of by the end of Singapore.
And it was announced a few days later. That was all kind of done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only piece of news that really came out was about the fastest lap and how in 2025 there will no longer be a fastest lap point.
Thanks, Red Bull.
Yeah, honestly.
Fuck. But I can see why. I like the fastest lap point.
I like it too.
I think it's really fun.
I know.
It's an extra little bit of ooh.
Totally.
Adds another little element.
Totally. And even this weekend, I think Colapinto had the fastest lap until right at the end when Ocon stole it because obviously they're kind of in and around Williams for the constructors, so they're wanting to pull away as many points as possible.
It's a fun little thing.
Yeah.
And Red Bull ruined it because of the stunt that they pulled in Singapore with Daniel Ricciardo. I don't know if this has been confirmed.
Yeah.
But I can't see any other reason why they would get rid of it. Because if they'd pulled it with Perez, no problem. Yeah. But why do they get 4 drivers to try and steal the fastest lap off of somebody, then 2? Everyone else has 2.
Yeah.
I can see that. But just tell them they can't. But then Christian Horner will be like, that was never the intention.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's like a bit of speculation around like if it was like Red Bull that said that, or like.
But why would Daniel Ricciardo have done that? He was out of the points.
Well, yeah. I think it was more just like a final send-off type thing. Yeah. Because they knew that he was going.
Yeah, but like, I still think it was also for Max. I think that did happen.
Potentially, yeah.
But the other thing was Red Bull changing their ride height controversy.
Yeah.
So basically, Red Bull have in their car, like deep in their cockpit, a thing that they can change, like the ride height of the car, not like the front wing angle, like the actual somehow. I'm not an engineer, but the ride height of their car.
Yeah.
And other teams were like, what's this all about? Because then technically if it's in the cockpit, they could change it and change it back before it gets checked again.
Yeah.
So, and you can't change it obviously in parc fermé conditions.
Yeah.
But basically Red Bull came out and they were like, we do have this, but we haven't used it. Yeah. But basically, like, they have used it, but not in parc fermé conditions. So it's just like an easy way for them to change the ride height of the car, apparently.
Right, and like practice and whatever.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know that much about it. But apparently, like, when the car is fully put together, it's inaccessible to the driver.
Right.
So, like, they wouldn't be able to change it without being caught in parc fermé, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, if they changed it before the race, in between race and quali, they, like, would get caught for sure because, you know, they send them out for the race and they come back and it's straight in parc fermé. It's like, they would have been.
Yeah.
But I'm like, because when they were like, oh, yeah, like, but we haven't used it, I was like, well, why the fuck is it there?
Yeah.
What's it for then?
Yeah. Why is it all secretive?
I know, but.
Sus. Anyway. But yeah, I feel like those are the kind of main things that happened over the 3 weeks that we were gone. Yeah. And then we got to Austin.
Yes.
And practice, I feel like there was, it feels like so long ago. Friday,
I know.
For some reason.
Because it's been a sprint weekend.
Yeah. Been like, there's been so many like competitive things that have happened in quali. I feel like someone spun.
Lewis spun.
Yes.
Lewis had a big yoink across the road.
Yes.
And George was off the track at every corner.
Yes.
George could not keep that car on the track. And obviously, like, the Mercedes seemed to have some sort of issue throughout the whole, you know, varying with the cars and stuff. But, like, they had something going on. Yeah. And I think that was evident from practice as well. And then just kind of continued through the whole weekend. But everyone was running wide at a lot of corners. I feel like other people spun.
Yeah.
No one had any, like, shunts or anything. But just, like, little...
Yeah. Which...
And just, like, running off the track.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, like, they've all been off for 3 weeks. So, and I feel like I've heard drivers say, when you're not in it, like, almost every weekend, like, you do kind of take a minute to, like, readjust yourself with it. Like,
take a couple laps to,
So, I kind of get that.
Yeah, and also, like, the track had been resurfaced, but not the whole track. So there was, like, patches, and that's what, like, why Lewis spun. Like, he hit a bump that was still there from, like, the old resurfacing and, like, you know, all of that. I love Austin, how they just go full cowboy. It's like there's nothing else in Texas.
I know.
It's like cowboy hat.
Yes.
You have to wear for some piece of media at some stage.
Did you see the Red Bull, like, pit crew just all in their cowboy hats?
No.
Like, full doing pit stops in cowboy hats. I was like,
okay.
Why?
See, this sounds like a really good idea until someone's falls off and ruins someone's pit stop.
Which, was there a little tie, like a neck strap?
Surely.
Or chin strap? Like the school hat.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, it's giving school hat. But, like, there would have had to be, because, like, imagine just the simple mistake. You bend down. You've got a wider perimeter of your head now. You bump that against someone's shoulder. It comes off. It gets in the way of the tyre. All of a sudden, your fun little outfit has cost someone a race win. Obviously that didn't happen.
No, but it was so, I was like, why?
Slay to them, honestly. I think it's fun. Good for them. But I'm also like, that's a little scary.
It's very funny.
Another funny thing that happened in practice was Oscar nearly wiping out the entire pit lane. Yeah, that was crazy, and we never heard anything about it again. No. We didn't get a read. We had one look at it.
A bit of a terrorist in the pit lane.
I know. They hate to see him coming. Yeah. He was going into the pit lane so fast. Yeah. Realized, I don't know if they called him in really late, but I'm like, you're not in a race. Just go around again.
Chill. Yeah.
So he's flying into the pit lane, realizes he's not going to make the corner. He's heading directly for the wall that's on the inside of the pit lane, goes around, realizes he's not making the corner, goes around it and rejoins the track.
So bizarre.
What are you doing? And then they didn't talk about it. They they were like, oh, that Oscar just did that. Anyway, I was like, what?
Yeah, whoa.
Can I get some radio messages? Yeah. I want to hear what he's, what?
I know, so bizarre.
What just happened?
Yeah. I was really just glitched.
Possessed Oscar Piastri in that moment. He was just he's like, I've had enough. Coming in, oh fuck. He's hearing ghosts. It's box. Anyway, I need to stop yapping because this is going to take forever.
Yeah, but otherwise, practice, obviously, I think Ferrari topped the timesheets, so I was very happy about that. Gave me good
McLaren confidence. They were off the pace the entire weekend. They just were not having a good time.
Oscar particularly. Oscar did not have a good weekend.
I would like to speak on this.
Okay.
Because it annoys me.
Okay.
There's obviously plenty of Lando haters. I've spoken about them plenty of times. But the people that are always just wait, Lando's so shit, blah, 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 Oscar is so much better, blah, 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 blah. Okay. If you compare the two drivers right now, how many pole positions does Oscar have? 0. When the car is not working, who falls down the field? Oscar.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously people's main excuse is he's only in his second year. Correct. He is phenomenal.
Yeah.
For being in his second year.
Yeah.
But when you're just Oscar is better, it's are we looking at the current state?
Yeah.
If you're talking about both of them as drivers right now, who looks after their tires better every single week?
Yeah.
Lando. Who's able to push the car when it's not working? Lando. It's I'm not saying that Oscar won't be better.
Totally.
And if you compare Oscar's second year to Lando's second year,
of course.
But the Lando haters' favorite thing is Oscar is better. He's only in his second year. And I'm
yeah. By what metric?
I'm you're comparing Oscar in his second year to Lando now, and he's not better.
No.
But because he's in his second year, you think he's better, and he's better for being in his second year.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah,
but he's only going to get better
level as Lando is currently.
Yeah, and I'm you're just projecting where you see Oscar getting to, and I have no doubts that he will get to that. But it annoys me. Anyways.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But my point still stands. Oscar did not have a great weekend.
Yeah, exactly, and that's to my point. The McLaren did not have the pace. Lando also was off the pace in practice.
Totally.
Turned it around.
But yeah. So obviously then we got into
sprints.
So sprint quali. First of all, Alex Albon's spin, his recovery from that little 360 was so good.
And I love that so many people getting their lap times deleted for track limits.
Yes.
Nah. I really wanted him to still get a good lap time because he did that whole thing and did not go outside of track limits.
I know, he kept it clean, kept it going.
I love that. I don't know if you saw it, Formula 1 posted it, but the TikTok sound that's call an ambulance, call an ambulance. But not from me. I was correct.
So good.
Anyway, Oscar then had his lap time deleted, made me want to...
out the window.
Out the window for the first time through the weekend.
A frequent occurrence.
Correct. But that was just sad.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen to someone.
Yeah. But it was just it just ended up being the silliest top 10 because people were getting their track times deleted left, right and center.
Yeah.
it ended up being like 2 Hasses, Colapinto, and like Yuki, all in SQ3.
the top 10.
And we were
like, where did everyone go?
Literally. I was like,
wait. No. Lewis was in... I'm getting the qualifying confused.
Yeah,
he
was
in
Q3
in sprint quali.
SQ3. Perez got eliminated in SQ2.
I'm like...
Perez is so useless. Oh my god. I can't.
I know.
Dude.
I know. I'm just sick of yelling about it because, like, we've lost Daniel Ricciardo now, so I'm like...
No, I know, but I'm still just like... I don't know, at this point, give Colapinto the seat. I'm so over it.
Give Liam the seat.
Give Liam the seat. Liam had a great weekend.
He's making a really good case for that seat. But if Liam gets a seat, I'm like, Yuki, you need to leave Red Bull. You need to leave the Red Bull family. Like, if you get overlooked for that seat and, like, Liam gets the seat ahead of you, you have to leave the Red Bull family because you're not going to... Like, they've had him sat there for 4 fucking years or something like that. And 3 years.
There's just never any talk about him getting it.
Never, ever, ever.
So.
And I'm like, well, you're clearly, like, good enough.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not, like, you know, the best thing since sliced bread. No. But you deserve a team that fucking wants you.
Yeah. I know. It sucks.
I know. And, like, yeah, if Liam gets I would love to see Liam in the Red Bull.
Yeah,
I
think that'd be a vibe.
But if Liam gets the Red Bull seat, he has to leave.
Yeah.
He's got to look outside of...
I did like how they now had Isaac Hadjar on.
I know. It was really
funny. In the garage, and it was like cutting to him anytime like something happened, and it was like, oh, so now we've moved on.
Yeah. But this is what I said, because I said this to my mum because my mum was here this weekend, and it was really fun to be able to watch a race weekend with her, like actually being like fully into it now.
Yeah.
And because I was like, Red Bull need to kind of get a wriggle on with... I was saying to her, like, with the Daniel Ricciardo situation, like, when that happened, Red Bull did need to kind of get a wriggle on with getting Liam Lawson into a seat because they're going to get a backlog because Liam Lawson's going to be out of contract, first of all, and going to be able to leave. But Isaac Hadjar is going to win F2.
Yeah.
So they need to keep him.
Yeah.
So they need to be able to move in Liam so that they can move him to reserve driver.
Yeah.
And then when it cut to him as reserve driver, I was like, what did I motherfucking say? I was like, and there you have it, mother. That's what I said.
Yeah, you're like, I know what I'm talking about. Did you know I have a podcast?
Literally. Anyways.
Oh my God. So side note, I went to my like cousin's wedding over the weekend, big Indian wedding. And my cousin, when she was making her speech, when she was thanking me as her bridesmaid, decided to announce to the 300 people in the room that I have a podcast.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
I was like, please stop talking right now. Like, immediately. She was just like, oh my God, because I was emceeing.
Yeah.
So she was just like, you did such a good job. You're so amazing. Like, you talk so well. Like, for those who don't know, Ishana's got a podcast.
There's no need.
I was like, please stop.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, anyway.
That's really
total
funny.
Sidebar.
You were just like, please.
I was like, the ground needs to swallow me up right now.
Yeah, because then did a bunch of people come to you and they're like,
oh my God, what's your podcast?
You're like, you're not going to give a fuck about it because you don't watch F1.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I don't want you to know about it. Because it's like, I'm fine with like random people on the internet.
Yeah, so people that you know.
Yeah, because then I'm like, I have to look you in the eye and know that like, you've watched this, you have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
It's just weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I am now thinking like, oh, I wonder what like so-and-so is going to think about this.
If you know us and you think we're fucking cringe, fuck off.
Get out of here.
Anyways,
no, did you see that cute comment on our Instagram video that was like, you guys are so amazing, like don't stop making
you
this
guys are so cute. Yeah.
Anyway,
back to this. Sprint quali still.
Yeah. Do you have any other points from sprint quali to talk about?
I wasn't expecting Max to get pole.
Yeah.
And like he just doesn't go away.
He really came back this weekend with a fury.
I was kind of expecting it a little bit, like these tracks obviously suit him and his car a little bit more than the ones that we have been at. And like, obviously I said this in the Singapore episode, like seeing how strong he was in a track that is terrible for him. Yeah. I was expecting
a bit of a comeback.
A bit more of a brawl on our hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, because with the Ferraris, at this point in time, I was like, okay, the Ferraris being ahead of Max is good.
Yeah.
That's a slay.
Yes.
Just points-wise, because I was like, Lando and his performance was not looking promising the whole weekend. So I was like, well, if the Ferraris finish ahead of Max, that is good, realistically.
Yeah. The problem is Lando needs a DNF. Like, he needs a DNF.
Yeah. Like that's all it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, if only Oscar Piastri was a second driver, I could just take him out. He's like, Lando, I got you. Yeah. I mean, George tried. And like, because George, he cooked in sprint quali.
Yeah.
That's like, the Mercedes was bad all weekend, and then George in sprint quali
was like front row.
Yeah. He was like, hold my hat.
Yeah. Hold my cowboy hat.
Yeah, literally. He's like, I'm going to boot scoot this Mercedes to the front row. And I was so stoked because I'm a George Russell lover.
Yeah.
And I was stoked, and I was like, great, you can start on the pole.
Yeah.
If Lando's not going to, you absolutely can. And then Max was like, poof, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then, anyway, that's all I have to, I was going to move straight on into the sprint.
Yeah, go for it.
I was like, I would love George Russell to dive bomb.
And just take Max out. I was thinking that. I was like, all right, George and Max on the front row. Someone's going to end up with a hole in their car.
Yeah, literally. And then Lando start in the sprint.
Amazing.
He's like, reminds me of the time. He's like, I'm gone. I've legged it. And he did. Because Max came across to cut it. The exact same thing happened in the start of the race.
Yeah.
Like, came across and the gap just opened.
Yeah.
And it was because Charles started from fourth in the race. And the same thing happened.
Yeah.
And then, once that happened for Lando, I was like,
We're on.
And then he just never had the pace
to
catch Max. And I was like, this is a horrible sign.
Yeah.
A horrible sign for the race. Obviously, it didn't quite turn out that way.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, dear fucking God. But the racing in the sprint, as we've said, was
phenomenal.
So good.
Like, right from the start. I think it was like literally lap one, Charles and George.
Yeah.
Like, wheel to wheel. Like, there was like five or six.
It was Charles.
I think it was Charles.
Yeah.
I have it in my notes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume it was Charles. Like, five like, switchbacks, like, constantly.
And they were like, I love when they, like, just go wheel to wheel around, like, multiple corners.
Yeah.
And you're like, are they going to fucking crash?
Yeah.
And it's so
and you're
stressful.
like, who's ahead? Oh, they've got the inside line now. Oh, they've got the inside line now.
Yeah, and then it's like, switch back. This one's back ahead. And it's like,
Like, Austin is such a good track for that. Like, it was so good to watch.
Yeah. That was really good.
Like, Oscar and Yuki had, like, some good battles later in the race. Like, and then
Carlos and Charles.
Ferrari battling each other. It was stressful. But those two, honestly,
they did good.
Are so good at, like, keeping their battles clean.
Yeah.
Like, every now and then there's a little bit of, like, ooh, that's
But
close.
that's, like, always bound to happen.
Totally.
But they're without getting shitty, without, like, taking each other out of the race.
And they came out of the sprint and they were like, that was so much fun. Like, had a great time.
Yeah, I think also because it's a sprint and there's, like, less on the line, it's, like, a bit less serious. They're just kind of, like, having a blast.
Totally.
And, like, that was a lot of fun. But then, obviously, Lando let Carlos through.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, God. Because, obviously, the sprint, it's, like, only 1 point difference between all the places.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, now we've gone 2 points down, and that's not fucking good.
Yeah.
Obviously, even 1 point down isn't good. But I was like, 1 point is fine.
Yeah.
Like, ideally not, but it's okay. Like, it's really not that serious.
Yeah.
But, like, the writing's on the wall. You still need a max DNF. 1 point's not changing that.
Yes.
And I thought, when Lando locked up into that corner, I thought both the Ferraris were going through.
Yeah. Well, because it was, like, the last lap.
Yeah.
And it was, Carlos, Charles, and Lando were just battling
right there. Yeah. And, when he locked up into the first corner and Carlos, I genuinely thought both Ferraris were going past. And I was like, that window's looking really, really good right now.
Yeah.
For me to just launch out of. But, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, throughout the whole weekend, I was expecting depressed Lando. He knew that, like, the car wasn't there. So he was like a lot less depressed.
Yeah.
Just over the course of the weekend because
Yeah.
he was like, well, we're clearly just, the car doesn't have the pace this weekend. So
Yeah.
I am where I expected to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love when you're not sad. Thank you. It makes me upset.
To be fair, I think that it's a bit of a cop-out with McLaren because, like, they were like, oh, you know, like, this just isn't our track. Like, this,
Yeah.
But, like, they have been so consistent on every single type of track.
I did think that.
So, like, to be like, oh, you know, it's just not our track. It's da-da-da. Like, it's just not suited for our car. Like, your car has been suited
everywhere.
for every single type of track so far.
It
so,
could
like,
be just something with the upgrades because they do have a few upgrades on the car.
yeah.
Or just, I don't know, like...
But it felt like such a cop-out. I was like, don't give me that. Your car is,
Yeah.
like, amazing
What
everywhere.
made me, like, more believe in that is just, like, the fact that, like, I feel like if it had been, the car had been fine, Lando would have been... But he genuinely just felt like he drove the car to its max. And, like, it was, like, in the quali laps, that thing was, like, brrr, like, the balance was a bit cooked.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's something, like, when you look at Max's quali laps, like, the car's running smoothly and stuff, and you look at Lando's and it's, like, jolting all around the shop, and I'm like, that does not look fun.
Yes.
But, yeah, it is odd. I was like...
Hold the phone.
What's going on there? But
Yeah.
anyway,
I don't have anything else to say about Sprint other than it was just so much fun to watch. Like,
Yeah.
I just had a great time watching it, and there was so much good wheel-to-wheel racing.
Yeah.
And, like, literally the whole time I was like,
I know.
Watching
it
it.
was great. Quali.
Quali. So, obviously, Q1, the big excitement, surprise, was Lewis getting knocked out, his track time getting deleted. But his track time,
didn't matter.
before it was deleted,
Wasn't good enough.
not good enough to get through anyways, which was
Shocking.
crazy. Poor Alex Albon getting knocked out in Q1. And the reason I say that is because Liam Lawson made it through to Q2.
Yeah. We've talked about this.
We have talked about it, but I just want to just say it again because I just do not think that if you have a 60 place penalty that you should be able to participate in quali.
Yeah.
Like, full stop. I
Yeah.
just do not think if there is zero chance that you are going to be anywhere other than P20, then you should not be allowed to participate in quali.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I get that, but did I also, like, learn so much about the car and, like, shit like that as well in quali? But, like, it's just kind of, like, it's a weird one. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
Because it is a bit like that. It's like, well... And then he was in Q2 just taking the piss.
Well, he didn't even go out. He didn't set a time. Oh, no, he did.
He did. To give Yuki a tow.
Yeah, and then didn't do it properly. And then
Yuki got pissed.
Yeah. And then Yuki didn't make it through anyway.
I know. But it was like, oh my God. Anyways.
I know.
Williams, I wasn't expecting them both to go out in Q1.
Yeah.
Given their recent form.
Yeah.
But they did. Anyways.
Yeah. And then obviously Q3, as we've talked about, George Russell.
In the wall.
In the wall.
Best moment of my weekend. Like, as I said, I'm a George Russell sympathiser. He can do no wrong. However, I was so astounded at the lap time Lando put in.
Yes.
I did not think that was possible from him. And I also don't think it's possible in any way, shape or form that wouldn't have been beaten on the second run.
Yeah.
Like, they were going again. Max had set 2 purple sectors.
Yeah.
Carlos was on a personal
He was on
best.
a flyer.
Lando was going slower than before.
Yeah.
And George said, I got you. He said, I see you.
Yeah.
I've backed you for the championship and you're my bestie.
Yeah.
That wall is my friend. Obviously not. He was very upset to be in the wall. But, like, I was... Because it was... Yeah, no one got to set their final time.
No.
That's why Perez got no time set at all because his first time got deleted.
Yeah.
And... Because, there was like 30 seconds or something left in quali.
Yeah.
And George was in the wall. And as soon as it cut to George and cut to, like, how the front of his car was fucked, because I was like, is he going to be able to, like, get going?
Yeah.
First of all, I was like, that's definitely ruined Max's lap because he was just coming into Sector 3.
Yes.
So I was like, first and foremost, that's great. At least Max's time isn't
Yeah.
probably going to count. But I was like, is George getting going again?
Yeah.
And then when it cut to like his onboard and his whole fucking tyre was like this, I was like, yes. I was like, yes. I was like, Mum, Lando's on pole. She was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, it's going to be like, it's done.
Yeah, game over.
Dunsky.
Yeah, I know. I was a little bit sad. But
I was so excited. I was so happy because like, I know that Lando's like, that was one of the best qualifying laps I've done ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, but it probably wasn't going to be good enough.
Definitely going to get beaten. Like, unless Max also crashed in the final sector.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, even Carlos and Charles were like,
were
on improving.
On a good time, yeah.
So I was just like, you are one lucky dude.
Yes, very lucky.
And I was like, maybe that track position can help out in the race. But I just think it's really funny, like, just a theme of like every F1, like Sky Sports edit of like, you know, the hype up. It's all like Lando versus Max.
I know.
And then they're like standing there, like after a session, just like giggling with each other. And I'm like, you're saying these two are bitter rivals? These are the two you're saying are bitter championship rivals.
Do they say they're bitter rivals though?
No.
I feel like they're often like friends or foe. I feel like that's the like.
I just thought that was really funny. They were like hee, like having a little giggle together, and I was like, lol.
But then that was kind of quali. Do you have any other quali points? No. Then I guess we can move on to the race.
Yeah.
So obviously, as we said, amazing start for Charles. Like, just found the gap, took it, and said, see ya.
Yeah, he saw Lando in the sprint and was like, I raise you
I'm gonna do that.
4th to 1st.
Yes.
He said, you say 4th to 2nd, I raise you 4th to 1st.
Yeah.
And he did. And
he won from 4th in Monza too, so I think just Charles in 4th is clearly... Charles on pole is immediate, you're not going to win. Charles from 4th? Got it.
Charles on pole, it's like, this isn't going well.
Yeah.
But, like... Because it started immediately.
Yes.
The whole string of penalties and inconsistent FIA decisions. Because in the first corner, I do genuinely think that Max pushed Lando off the track in the first corner.
Yes.
That definitely, that's exactly what George did. And he got a penalty for it. It's what Oscar did in the sprint. Penalty.
Totally.
And I know that they give leniency because it's the first
lap
turn.
one.
But, like, that's pretty clear cut. And, like, they say lap 1, but, like, they're out. I don't know, you can't be like, oh, well, they're at the front, so it's, like, different. But it is a little bit different. Because there's actually not that many people around.
Yes.
They're all back there. They're not, like...
in front of you.
There. Yeah. They're not in your, like, vicinity.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Lando definitely could have cut Max off more. Obviously, that's hindsight. When you're in the car, you can't fucking see where he is. So he didn't want to, like, go into him and ruin both of their races immediately.
Yes.
But, yeah.
But no, it did.
Because Max pushed Lando, and that's what let Charles and Carlos through.
Yeah.
Was the fact that Max just took Lando
Max
all
took
the way over
them both out
there.
and they went, no,
yeah, literally. I'm like, well... Thanks, dickhead. Like, fuck. And then didn't get a penalty for it. I was like, okay, you know, again, like the whole lap 1.
Yeah.
Whatever. Also, to note, George pit lane start.
Yes. Well, because they had to, like, put his car back together.
Yeah.
And so that, you know.
Yeah. But anyway.
But that happened. So on the whole point of, like, penalties.
Yes.
Like, so obviously there was a lot of inconsistency. And it seemed like there was no penalties really for pushing a driver off the track. It was only for overtaking a driver off the track.
There was penalties for pushing off the track though, because that's what George got.
Yeah, there was a couple.
That's what there was someone else that got one.
Like Gasly or something.
Gasly, yeah. Got them for pushing the drivers off the track.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about let's get into it.
Yeah.
Obviously Lando got a penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage.
Yes.
Which lost him 3rd place to Max, which is the big problem.
Yes.
Realistically, it's not losing the place, it's losing it to Max.
Yeah.
But obviously, Max did. They both went off the track.
Yes.
And the difference was between that one and the other ones was that Lando was the aggressor.
Yes.
And Max was the defender. And in both of the other circumstances, the person who did the pushing was the overtaker.
Yes.
So that was the main difference. And like Max was ahead at the apex.
Yes.
So it seems like a slam dunk penalty, really. Like, Max was ahead of the apex. They both went off the track.
Yeah.
And Lando took the place off the track.
Yeah.
Seems like a slam dunk penalty. But then what, like, Jensen Button was saying, he was like, but Max knows this. You look at them, like, when they're about to turn into the corner.
Yeah.
And Lando's ahead.
Yeah.
Max intentionally brakes later.
Yeah.
So that he's ahead at the apex.
Yeah.
So that when they eventually both... He knows he's not making the corner.
Yes.
So eventually, when they both push him off the track, he's going to be in the favourable position.
Yeah, because he's like, FIA. Oh, it was my corner. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only your corner because you braked late knowing you weren't going to make the corner. Yes. So it's like, well, you did push him off the track then.
Yes.
Because you intentionally... You didn't make the corner.
Totally.
You braked too late.
Yeah.
But... Yeah, it's just like a weird one. It's a really weird one, and I don't even, like, I do think, like, McLaren should probably have erred on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Given the place back and had another crack at him.
Which is easy to say in hindsight,
of course.
But, like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because then obviously the other argument is just to floor it and pull a 5-second gap, which is what they ended up trying to do.
Yeah.
But they couldn't do because he got the black and white flag for track limits.
Yes.
So I'm like, this is a huge issue because he was like 2.5 seconds up the road from Max when I was talking to Mum about this. I was like, this is a huge problemo because now he doesn't have enough laps left if he gives Max the place back to get back past him because Max was defending like an absolute champion.
Oh yeah, for real.
Like slay to him. It was very annoying, but like he ate that.
Yeah.
And I was like, he doesn't have enough time to get back past him. It took him like fucking a million laps the first time.
Totally.
And didn't even get it off the track. But also, if you start pushing really hard to get the 5-second gap so that when you get your penalty, you don't lose the place, you're going to get another track limits, end up with a 10-second penalty and lose more places.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you can't win now.
Yeah.
You're in a position where you're going to lose that place because you can't give it back and get back past him.
Yeah.
And you can't push hard enough to get the 5-second gap because you're going to go over track limits.
Yeah.
And get another 5-second. Like, ugh. So it was rather annoying.
Yes.
It was really annoying. Anyway.
No, it was just so inconsistent, like, for everyone, which is frustrating. I think Jensen Button said it really well. He was like, how do you expect, like, people at home and, like, fans to be able to, like, enjoy watching the sport when, like, not even the drivers or the
team principals
or the FIA seem to actually understand the rules properly?
Because it doesn't seem like they've ironed out all of the little... Because, like, there's always idiosyncrasies.
Yeah.
There's always little things, like circumstantial...
Yes. You're never going to be able to account for every circumstance. But
that seems like a very... Like... That circumstance seems like something that you should know what you're doing with.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, you know, they take 5 laps to make a decision. And it's like, well, when you're on, like, one of the last few laps and something happens, you need to be able to, like, sort something out quickly. Like,
and, yeah, it annoyed me as well with McLaren. Like, Lando immediately after, he was like, was I ahead at the apex? And McLaren were like, we think you were, yes.
Yeah.
Run back the
clip.
Before you just let him put his head down and start... Run back the tape now.
Yeah. I know.
So, like... And don't just tell him, you were ahead at the apex to make him... Like...
No, I know.
He needs to... That's a very vital piece of information. And you're just like, we think you were.
Yeah, like, no, there's no think. There is yes or no.
Quite a lot on the line here, so maybe check.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, he's very clearly not ahead of the apex.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's go back to the start because it just pisses me off.
Totally. So, that was that. Obviously, early on, we had Lewis go off.
And we had a safety car for the first time in so long.
Welcome back to the safety car.
That guy's been napping. He's like, how do I do this?
Yeah, literally. I think they said on the commentary it's been the longest streak of no safety car since like 2003, 2004. Yeah. Like, whoa.
I mean, I'm glad to have the safety car back. It didn't do anything because it was so early. No. But I'm like, I miss the fun little spanner in the works that a safety car can throw in midway through a race.
Yeah.
And how it can like change things around. Obviously, as I said, didn't do anything. But it was fun.
No.
Safety car.
Agree. I did feel bad for Lewis, but I was like, you know what? If it was going to happen on a weekend...
It's good for it to happen
this is a good weekend for it to happen, because you were not thriving.
Yeah. Also, it's just me with Lewis. Sometimes I'm just like, well... You've had a lot of success. You can have a bad time.
Yeah.
Like, you're fine.
You're chilling.
Literally, when he's, like, complaining about stuff, I'm like, you know what? You've had a good run, my guy. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, he never wants to take a bad weekend. But sometimes when stuff like that happens to Lewis, I'm like, meh.
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah, well, totally.
You're like the goat, so you can, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't feel that bad for you.
Totally.
But, anyway, Carlos smelling fuel.
Yeah, that was a little bit bizarre. And then it was just like a setting that they had to fix to like...
I'm like, how does that fix that?
Very bizarre.
Anyway.
No clue what happened there. But Ferrari slayed Carlos's strategy.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. We nailed the undercut on Max.
Yeah, I thought Max would be pissed about that, but they didn't show any team radio of it. Maybe he was and they didn't show it.
Yeah.
But you thought if he would say something like, what the fuck are you doing? They would show it. But I was like, Max isn't going to be happy, and then we didn't hear from him.
Yeah,
but
was chilling.
Yeah, that was a big slay. I thought it was really funny that like Charles was like, don't leave me out, don't leave me out, don't leave me out. And Ferrari was like, stay out. And I was like, he don't even trust them.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we'll bring you in soon. And he was like, can I please come in? They were like, no.
No.
He don't trust them at all.
No. To be fair, like, they knew what they were doing, because his gap kept building, like, after he said that. Like, he was still, gaining a second every other lap. So...
And I thought, like, McLaren did really well on the first stint. Like, obviously, their car kind of came alive all of a sudden, it seemed.
Yeah, they were talking about that. And they were saying, like, it, like, got through the graining in the tyres. And then, like, the rubber, I think, kind of clears out. And then the grip comes back.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because I'm like, that's bizarre that, like, your tyres can kind of, I guess, go through, like, a cycle and then they come back to you.
Yeah, and I think that's what they say, like, what's happening to Charles in Baku. And he kind of got through it and then they fall off the cliff.
Yeah.
Like, that's the risk of doing that, I think.
Yeah.
Is that they will just go and they'll go big time.
Yeah.
But, like, the McLaren, like, once they got rid of that, it looked racier than it had looked all weekend.
Yeah.
And because they were just losing time, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like,
yeah.
And when Carlos did undercut Max, I was like, good job.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
The most. Because I was like, well, that's
the further down you can push
because
Max,
like Lando and Oscar were nowhere. And I was like, well,
yeah,
I'll take the Ferrari 1-2. The Ferrari 1-2 was never my problem. Yeah. That does not bother me whatsoever.
No, totally.
Like, good for y'all.
Yeah.
But yeah. Then it just came alive, and they brought them in at like the perfect time as well, because they had like zoomed.
Yes.
Once their tires came alive, and then they were starting to drop back. So it was like, it's
pit.
time to bring them in.
Yes.
But then apparently Max had an issue. And then Red Bull was like, we'll fix it in the pit stop.
Yeah, and then
they didn't.
They had like a 3-second pit stop, like it was a regular.
Yeah, it was like 2.4 or something. Like, it was genuinely just because I was watching his pit stop.
Yeah.
Because everyone was expecting like a little bit of a longer pit stop.
Yeah.
While they
I was like
something.
maybe 4 or 5 seconds at least. Yeah.
To fix whatever the problem was. It must have fixed itself, or maybe the pit wall was able to do something, or there was a message we didn't hear that, you know, like Carlos's one.
Yeah.
But I was very excited. I was like, first of all, if this issue for Max is terminal, that would have been
ideal.
Peak. And then I was like, if Max's issue is terminal, that means Carlos's issue can also be terminal. But I was like, Carlos can't DNF if Max doesn't DNF. I was like, this is a 1 week. Like, I'm not praying on anyone's downfall unless it's benefiting Lando in the World Championship, realistically. And like, I don't like the fact that I like Max. I don't like Red Bull.
Yeah.
I don't like Christian Horner one bit. I don't like Helmut Marko.
No.
So, like, there's another little bit there.
No, anyway. I get you. Well, Ferrari are very close to overtaking them in the constructors now.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, it's a bit tea. Like, Ferrari's on a very late charge here.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't look in it to win it until, like, Monza.
Yeah.
And then since then, they've been
very
extremely strong though. Like, obviously Singapore just fucked qualifying, and that was that. But they looked really strong until they just, which is what they do, I guess. It is kind of how they roll most of the time. But like, Charles is 22 points off Lando and the drivers.
Yeah.
Like, that would kind of be like really funny if Charles won it. Like, they have this whole thing the whole season. Max v Lando. Charles is like, hey. That would be so funny. And like,
it's
obviously
so unlikely, but
it would be so funny.
It would be.
I don't want him to
I'd be thrilled.
Yeah, of course. And it would just be hilarious. Like, I would even like it because that's just so funny.
Yeah.
Like, what? But like, what I don't want to happen is like more just for like the Lando haters. I don't want Charles to finish like second and Max still win and Lando finish third, because all the Lando haters will be fucking waving their pitchforks and being like, "Ah, he's so shit." Like, shut the fuck up. Like, Ferrari have been on a charge, and like, good for them. They've been causing headaches, but also helping at different times.
Yeah.
But like, McLaren have done it to themselves, and McLaren have done it to Lando.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Obviously, we'll see what happens. But
we will.
It's going to take a miracle.
Yes, it will.
Or, someone. I need good old 2018 Esteban Ocon unlapping himself against the race leader. I'm looking at you, Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon.
Yeah.
One of you brats down the back. Cause some problems. Yeah, please.
I know.
I will pay you off myself with my $10 in my bank account.
You know what was actually so, I thought, like, weird and like funny with the like Max and Lando battle at the end, because obviously there was a bit of back and forth there as like Lando was trying to catch Max. Was just like the fact that Max seemed to have like a never-ending supply of battery power.
When was he charging that?
Right? Because, like, you're constantly defending from Lando behind you who's got DRS.
And, like, super close to you, too.
And every time the graphic came up, it was, like, Lando 50% battery power, Max 90%. And you're like,
where is
this coming from? And I was like, oh, so Max is just chilling here. Like, he's just cruising.
Yeah.
And, like, Lando can't get in front of him. And obviously he eventually did, and then
everything
went up and blah, blah, blah. But
things went to shit.
Yeah, but, like, I just thought that was so bizarre. I was like, where is this battery power? Do you have a solar panel attached to your car? Where is this coming from?
What the fuck is going on? But,
portable charger, just like, touch.
An extension cord. He's running it to the pit wall and he just goes around. An extension cord's like flapping around. But, what was I was going to say something else about that. I was impressed with Lando not getting impatient a la Austria.
Yes.
Because I was like...
Yes.
Because obviously Austria, he tried the move, and he tried the move, and he tried the move, and it wasn't working. So he was like, and like, steamed down the inside, and everyone knows what happened there.
Yes.
So I'm glad that that didn't happen.
Yes.
I was worried about that happening. But
he did make a big swipe across when he was defending.
Oh, that was crazy.
Max. Just like, I was like, whoa! He was like, fuck no.
It's like, absolutely not.
Yeah. I was like, that was maybe on the edge of illegal.
Yeah, I was like, moving under braking who?
Yeah.
I think he just genuinely braked so late.
I think so too, and just swiped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a classic Max Verstappen where you like, you jink the steering wheel, then brake and then straighten it up.
Yeah.
He's like, I know you.
Yeah.
I've been seeing you. Anyway, let's talk about some stuff that was happening a little bit further back.
Yes.
Perez.
Oh my god.
Stuck behind Franco Colapinto.
Colapinto, yeah.
Yeah. And then he was fighting with George at the end. We didn't see a second of it because I didn't really care anyway. But like, that was kind of crazy. We said like he's just
trash.
Unhelpful.
Bro was like 30 seconds behind like the top 5. Yeah. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And then George Russell did amazing though.
Really, really good.
To come from the pit lane to P6.
Really, really, really good. Very
Especially
impressive.
given Mercedes have been just God knows where over
I
the
know.
weekend. I was
having
impressed.
a good time. Like, every time we'd cut to George Russell, it was like, another overtake, another overtake. I was like,
it was so good.
To be expected, but like, maybe you didn't expect him to do that much. I was like, oh, getting into the points would be like, you know, good job.
Yeah.
Good job, well done. But then P6, I was like, good.
Yeah.
Really good.
And then Nico Colapinto and
Liam Lawson.
We need rounding
to talk
out
about
the
Liam
points.
Lawson.
Liam Lawson did incredibly well.
Yeah.
Incredibly well.
So well. Really happy for him. And like, obviously, I'm just so happy because there are a lot of people who just love to be like, Liam Lawson, purely because he replaced Daniel Ricciardo. Absolutely nothing to do with Liam. Anyone that comes in to replace Daniel Ricciardo, especially in those circumstances, is going to have a little bit of a rough time. Yeah. So I'm really glad that he not only had a good weekend, he absolutely cooked.
Yes.
But yeah, like the commentary was like, oh, I think they should put Liam Lawson in the Red Bull seat with Max. And I was like, brother, as I said before, Yuki needs to evacuate the building if that happens, because goddamn. But
honestly,
he did really well, and I loved on the radio. Did you hear his radio after?
No.
They didn't play it, but I saw it on social media afterwards. He was like, his engineer was like, P9, like, great drive, you know, like, really good job, whatever. And he was like, how did that happen? How did we do that? Oh. He was literally like, how did we do that?
Yeah.
And his engineer was like, you were fast. That's how we did that.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my fucking God. Like, what the hell was that? He couldn't believe it. And I was like, that's adorable.
Well, I'm sure he had very low expectations,
especially
given he had to start at the back.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, oh my God, his beef with Fernando Alonso.
Oh my God, so funny. What is AlphaTauri doing? First of all, big dog, it's V-carb now.
I mean, we know
Fernando Alonso beefing with like
the
newbies
rookies
is very funny.
It's so funny.
It's like, sort of giving Carlos beefing with Oscar a little bit.
Yeah, but like extremes. Yeah. I'm like, you could be his father.
Yeah.
Genuinely, he is half your age.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Alonso is 44, Liam Lawson is 22. That is a father figure.
Yeah. That's wild.
Like, so funny.
Lol.
So funny. And the fact that Liam, like, didn't back down either and, like, went straight back at him in the race. And I was like, what we love to see.
We do.
Race him like he's not even there.
Yeah.
Race him like he's
And all these rookies have been absolutely doing that. Like, when Ollie Behrman gets in the car, when Colapinto got in the car, like, none of them were afraid to battle Lewis. None of them have been afraid to battle Fernando. It's because those would be, like, their childhood idols.
Yeah, big time.
And, like, you'd think you'd be a bit stressed, but no, they've been chilling.
I know, and that makes me really excited for next year.
It does make me really
I'm like,
this
is a good time. But anyway, I feel like we've kind of spoken about everything.
Yeah.
To the
Other
end.
than, of course, we finished with the Ferrari one too, and I was very happy about it.
Like, once the kind of, like, for Charles, less so for Carlos, the work was done in the first corner.
Literally. And he just sailed off. The Ferrari
and I kind of
had
knew it
amazing
too.
Pace.
Like, I was worried about Ferrari the whole weekend. I was like, they have good pace.
Yeah. I was actually just very calm.
Yeah.
Watching it with Charles in front. Normally, I'd be, like, a little bit panicked. Like, oh my God, when's he going to lose the lead?
Yeah.
But I was like, no. This is fine.
From what happened with, like, the tyres falling off in the sprint of everyone and Max chilling, I was like, clearly having the clean air here is big.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, well, he's gone. Yeah. He was literally, I was like, the Ferrari is too quick. Yeah. And being out in front has clearly a huge advantage here. I was like, oh, bye, Charles.
Yep.
See ya. Yep. Literally, as soon as he got in the lead, I was like, goodbye. Yeah. Have fun with that. But
so, I was very happy.
Another thing I found really funny was like Toto yapping on the radio after the race to George.
I know.
Being like, well, we all know. Like, what did he say? He was like, that's no surprise. That like, because George asked, he was like, did Max get a penalty for the first corner? Yeah. Because George was coming out of the pit lane, probably saw the whole thing. It was like, oh, George was like, cool. And then he was like, Toto was like, no, but he did the same thing again and Norris got a penalty for it. But like, we shouldn't be surprised or something like that. Yeah. And it was
still
like...
salty.
But I'm like, how is it always Max? that's at the scene of the crime. I'm like, I don't think anyone's paying off the FIA.
No.
But I'm like, it is a little funny.
It is just funny, yeah.
That it's just always Max.
I know.
What annoys me the most about Christian Horner is just how on his high horse he is until someone threatens him, and he gets so defensive and so like catty.
Yeah.
It's chalk and cheese the way he acts when things are going his way and when they're not. And obviously he's just on his big high horse and like, well, they know the rules. Obviously they made the right call. And I was like, if the exact same situation had been reversed, you would be losing your mind.
Complaining out the wazoo.
You would be losing your actual mind.
Yeah.
And obviously I think like McLaren handled it quite well, and they were just like, the decision's been made.
Yeah.
We will move forward.
Well, actually, Andrea Stella afterwards was like, I don't think the FIA had no business, like, interfering in a beautiful piece of motorsport.
Yeah, true. I was like, T. And then later in the same interview, he was like, well, it is what it is. Let's move on. So, obviously, like, they're mad about it, and they have all right to be mad about it. But in the same interview, it was like, we move on.
Yeah.
The Red Bull wouldn't have done that.
No.
There's no way.
So
Anyways, should we get into our awards? We've been going for so long. This is not good at all.
All right, who was your biggest winner?
Ferrari.
Yep, me too.
George and Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with that. But yes, Ferrari.
Ferrari definitely as the
your
main
biggest
one.
losers.
Lando.
Yeah, I said Lando.
And McLaren.
Yeah, I also said Mercedes, just because, like, I know George kind of did quite well in the race, but, like...
The situation was bad.
The whole weekend was just...
Not ideal
for
them.
A bit of a write-off.
Yeah, really good point.
What was a silly surprise?
Ocon taking the fastest lap.
Yeah, that was so random.
Like, maybe an orange car does make you fast.
Yeah. Bizarre. I just said the FIA's decision making was full of surprises. Do you have a stat?
I do.
Hit me with it.
Okay. I wonder if you know this. Can you just have a guess? When was the last time there was no McLaren on the podium?
Like, earlier this year sometime. I don't know. Was there a McLaren on the podium in Monaco?
Oscar?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know.
Saudi.
Yeah, I was going to say like Bahrain or something was my next guess.
Second race of the year.
Yeah. Wow.
Every single race since Australia, we've had at least one McLaren on the podium.
Wow.
And that has ended.
That's a good streak though.
That's a really good streak, because in the McLaren like post-race debrief that they do with the drivers and Andrea Stella on their social media.
Yeah.
Andrea was like, oh, you know, first time we haven't been able to bring a trophy back to the team for a little while.
Yeah.
And I was like, true. And then I was trying to think of when it was, and I was like, bruh. So I looked at it and was like, damn. It's 16 races.
Wow.
In a row.
Wow.
To have at least one driver on the podium. I was like, that is very impressive.
Yeah.
Did you have a stat?
I did. It was something that Crofty really briefly mentioned. But I was like, I hooked onto it just because I thought it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with Austin. But Mark Webber.
Yeah.
Has been on pole more recently.
I saw this! Oh my god, I heard this!
Than Fernando Alonso.
And he's been retired 10 years!
Like, what?
Not 10 years, but like...
Yeah.
Probably, actually, no.
It was Abu Dhabi 2013 was Mark Webber's last pole, and Germany 2012 was Fernando Alonso's last pole.
Big up Mark Webber, I guess. That's insane.
So bizarre.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy, actually. Like, I did hear that, and I was like, lol. And I just like...
I know. I was like, what do you mean?
That's crazy.
But yeah.
The Aston Martin is bad.
Yeah.
That car sucks.
It really does.
Like, Lawrence Stroll, where's your dosh gone?
Yeah, honestly.
Where's Adrian Newey?
Yeah, bring Adrian Newey in ASAP. But anyway. Did you have a biggest meme for the weekend?
I had a few.
Hit me with it.
not so much memes, just like funny moments. When George's engineer told him he had the penalty.
Oh, yeah.
What? What? I was like, that is so George Russell.
Yeah.
Like, just the tone.
It's very girly pop.
Yeah. What? He's like, sounds like he's gossiping in a cafe.
Yeah, literally.
Like, so funny. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes.
Also, Carlos on the podium.
Yeah.
Dropping his fucking... First of all, what the fuck was that? The spare pole position trophies?
It was so... I know. I was like, why are they giving out pole position trophies?
No, because they
and then I was like, oh.
They had, like, actual Texas trophies that looked like little Mickey Mouses. They were, like, bears.
Yeah.
And then they had an issue that they thought they were going to be, like, copyrighted or something.
Yeah.
So they didn't use them.
So they handed out, like...
Pole position awards. Carlos's face.
Yeah.
When they hand him the thing. He was like, what the fuck is this? And then, like, the drone shot of, like, the aftermath of the podium where they're, like, you know, just talking to each other.
Yeah.
The trophy is rolling along the floor. And Carlos is, like, chasing it. Did you see this?
I didn't see that.
It's so funny. And everyone's like, this is so Lando coded.
It's like watching
so
a grown
funny.
man chase like a ping pong ball.
I know, it's
like
so funny. It like rolls off the podium and like hits the wall at the front of the podium. You have to look at it. It's hilarious.
I will.
Anyway, I thought that was so funny.
So funny.
It brought me a tiny bit of joy after my hour and a half of hell.
Also, Carlos being like, I have no idea what that means.
Yes, that was really funny too.
So funny.
I was like, well, that's quite problematic if you can't fix this fuel smell.
Leaking situation. Yeah, it was very bizarre. My biggest meme was one that I saw a couple weeks ago, but in regards to this weekend. You know that Ben Affleck like meme where he's like outside smoking and he's just like, oh, like he's just like so over it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Let me pull it up for you.
I probably will when I see it.
Yeah.
I'm just also really bad with celebrities and I can't picture Ben Affleck right now.
Like that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so it was like that with like the F1 intro video editor when there's like the 37,000th driver change this season.
Literally, with like Ollie subbing in. Like,
yeah, just like, oh
my God.
Another one.
So funny. Oh my God. I saw GQ Sport did a little interview with George Russell and you know how they do like reacting to comments about them and stuff.
Yes.
And like, it was about like George Russell's T-pose and they were like, does George know like how much of an icon he is or something? And he was like, oh, like, haha, it's really funny. Like, just roll with it. And he's like, it might be making a comeback. Stay tuned. And I was like, if I see that in the 2025 intros,
slay.
I'll be so happy. Or like just something goofy.
Yeah, totally. It just has to, because his one this year was such a letdown.
Yeah.
After the
and obviously
iconic
like they don't choose. So like
no.
But come on. The F1,
bring back
but I'm like,
good.
he needs to, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in there and he's like, so what are we thinking?
Yeah.
what have
you come up with? What's the vibes? Yeah.
Like high kick, perhaps? A little pirouette for the camera? And curtsy.
Yes.
Something like that.
That would be a slay.
That's what I'm looking for from George Russell.
A little piece up A-Town.
Yeah. Something fun and funky fresh.
Yes. Who was your driver of the day?
George, actually, speaking of. And Liam.
Yeah.
Again, both my like biggest winners, but I thought that they both drove really, really well.
Yes, agreed. I mean, obviously the people chose Charles, which is like, he,
And Franco.
Yeah, I had Liam and Franco. Liam and Franco were my two.
Yeah.
So.
I've seen a few people being like, Franco Colapinto got me questioning whether Alex Albon is good or not.
I know. That's like a big discussion.
Yeah.
And maybe one we have on another episode.
Yes,
but
definitely.
Like, it is a bit like...
Because I'm like, maybe we've just thought he was really good because we were comparing him to
Logan Sargent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
anyway.
that's a conversation for another time.
It is. So this weekend we have another race. We've got a triple header and we're in Mexico.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I love Mexico. I ain't been, but I just think it's a vibe. Obviously, Perez's home race.
Yes.
Last year, he DNF'd in his home race.
Last year, there were 5 DNFs in Mexico, which is exciting.
Terrifying a little bit.
maybe we'll have some more drama. But there was a lot of highlights from the Mexico Grand Prix last year.
Yeah.
Namely, Checo flying over
Whee!
Charles.
Yeah.
And people left after that happened.
Really?
He did it.
Yeah.
And
I'm actually not shocked.
Yeah, we're like, see you later.
Yeah.
They played, have you heard the like Mexican version of the F1 theme? No. They've got like a mariachi band version and they played it for the broadcast. It was so funny.
I really want this. I need this.
I hope they do it again.
Yeah,
and another highlight was Max like rising in his car.
Oh my god.
With the sombrero.
So funny. And he's like, well, not actually, but
yeah, but he was
really funny. Yeah.
So funny. So I'm just really hoping for all of the above once again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope it's going to be a good race.
Yeah. Obviously Max won last year.
Yeah. But Charles Leclerc 2024 world champion is all I'm hoping for right now.
It's kind of on the cards. As I said, that would be so funny.
It would
like, just for comedic factor, like, it would... I'll be in the trenches, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, I'd almost kind of prefer him win than Max at this point, just because it's like, this whole time I've just been like, kicking a brick wall with like Lando trying to catch up in the championship, and it's just been like increment, like just not fucking happening.
Yeah,
like it'd be so funny if Charles was like
sail past
Stephen Bradbury,
yes,
if you will.
Get it? Yeah.
Anyways,
well,
we need to finish this fucking episode because we just been chatting. Yeah.
We do. I think that wraps it up. So we'll see you next time.
Outro.
Oh yeah, true. I was like, how do we finish these again?
Yeah, me.
You
and I
them.
make a horribly worded outro. Subtly begging for help. Anyway, if you're listening audibly, which is what I say these days,
if you're listening audibly,
yeah,
as opposed to listening. Anyway,
if you're listening, please give us a 5-star review because it really helps us out if you did enjoy it. And if you are watching on YouTube, like the video, subscribe. Literally like 80% of our viewers aren't subscribed, so we can see that.
Yeah, so come
subscribe.
On, hit the little...
And chuck us a comment. Let us know what you think about the FIA's decisions this weekend. Because I'm seeing a lot of opinions.
Yes.
And they kind of make me upset. But, like, it's... I know, people like to chat. So drop us a comment what you think. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.